Today we are cooking clam chowder, but not just any clam chowder. Today is the start of my series, cooking every recipe from the Stardew Valley Cookbook. The plan will be to cover other books in the future, but for now we're going to start here. In the spring section, we will find the recipe named simply Chowder on page 26. If you have this recipe book, feel free to follow along with your book, and if you don't have it and love the game Stardew Valley, I do really recommend getting it. It's a really fun cookbook. I'm no way sponsored by them or anything like that, but I really just love the cookbook, and I also love the game. I actually did a whole playthrough on another YouTube channel, but that's irrelevant. If you don't have the book, no worries, just follow along as normal, it'll be fine. As always, we will start with preparing our mise. This will let you know also kind of beforehand if you forgot to pick something up from the store. This time, I think I remembered everything. This recipe has quite a few ingredients. The hardest to find could likely be the clams. Personally, my store did not have any fresh clams, so I just bought some frozen ones. I bought a 340 gram bag. This seemed to work well for me. If you do buy fresh clams, thankfully the book explains how to clean them. It also added more information than I knew about cleaning clams. That is to sprinkle flour into the water. That way the clams kind of eat the flour and it helps them to spit up more dirt and sand. If you are cleaning your own clams, just submerge them in water and salt solution, that is 30 grams of salt to 1,000 grams of water. If it is too salty, you do risk killing them and they won't get cleaned. Let them sit and do their thing for about 15 minutes, then repeat this step one more time. For especially dirty clams, you may need to do this a little bit longer or a few more times. While the clams are eating lunch, we will prepare the rest of our mise. I like to take everything out so it's very easily accessible to me while I'm cooking and measuring stuff and just kind of getting everything ready. A general rule of thumb when measuring stuff, I try and do all the dry ingredients before the wet ones, because if you do the wet ones, some wet stuff is wet and sticky, and then the dry stuff sticks to that, and it's just a mess, and I don't got time for that. You may have noticed we procured a bottle of clam juice. This is not in the ingredient list, but I like to get it when I'm making clam chowder, just in case I want it a little more clammy. I do recommend this even if you have fresh clams, but I especially recommend this if you're buying just the frozen clams. We will start with setting aside 3/4 of a cup of white wine and pouring out a little for ourselves as well. Cheers. Ooh, that'll be very good in this recipe, actually. Well, it's very tasty. I don't have a 3/4 of a cup measurer, so we'll do 3 of these. I only have 1/4 cups, so we'll be using 3 1/4 cups. Oh god, I'm spilling. With the wine situation taken care of, we will cut up about half a stick or 1/4 of a cup of butter and set that aside. And here we will begin cleaning our leeks. This can be a little bit tedious, but it's better than getting bugs and dirt in your soup. I mean, if you want bugs and dirt in your soup, go for it. You're cooking, not me. The book mentions to save the greener, woodier parts for stock. This is definitely a great idea. I love having leek scraps in my stock. I put all sorts of weird stuff in my stock bags, and leeks are definitely one of them. It also recommends to clean by quartering the leeks lengthwise and then slicing thinly before submerging in water. Personally, I find that the leek is easier to clean when it's still in a big chunk, so I'll just half it lengthwise here, chop off the bottoms, and then just get in there and start cleaning it with water, running it under clean water, and rinsing it in a bowl. I think this way is a little easier, but that's just me. I also prefer the half moon shapes for my leeks when I'm cooking, so I'm going to be cutting them into half moons instead of the quarters like the book recommends. Cooking really is all about preference. If you know you like something a specific way, or you've had something a specific way and liked it, go with that. But if you are feeling a little bit adventurous, why not try a new way? That's the beauty of cooking, fucking around and finding out. While we are cutting and cleaning veg, let's prepare the fennel. It's a sort of weird one, but I pretty much treat this one just like an onion after I trim off the tops of it. I like to save the tops of the fennel here because they're really good for garnishes. The whole stem can be cut up and pickled. There's lots of really great things that you can do with this. I really love fennel. But just cut off the fronds and we'll treat it as an onion and we will core it and then slice it thinly. Just cut a nice little V. Now we will cut up our carrots, then our celery. In the book, it looks like they cut the celery into those C-shaped strips. Personally, I hate big chunks of celery, so I will be doing a very small dice, almost a brunoise. And a brunoise is basically just a really, really small, fine dice. These are a little bit bigger than that, but you get the point. They kind of dissolve in the soup, and I can forget about them. Next, we will pick leaves off of our tarragon. I do recommend just tasting an ingredient if you've never used it before, or if you're not sure you'll like it. Tarragon's kind of a weird one. I love it. It's kind of fennel-y. If it's not something like a spice or oregano, like something that you can eat raw, just do a quick Google to make sure it isn't toxic if consumed raw. There's certain things that can be toxic if they're not cooked, like morel mushrooms, yucca root, and potatoes are examples of toxic things that you should not eat raw. Finally, we're going to be measuring out about 3.5 cups of water and 1.5 cups of milk and 1.5 cups of heavy cream. With everything ready, we will grab our large Dutch oven and get our butter melting in it. Once it comes up to temperature, we will add in our veg. However, if you are using clams and shells, this is the time where you would start finishing cleaning those and then cooking them. To do that, drain and rinse the clams really well. After they have purged all their sand and dirt out, bring a large pot to boil with the 3.5 cups of water. And then cook the clams with a lid, covering them for about 5 to 7 minutes, or until they all open up. During the cooking process here, what you're going to want to do is grab the lid of the pot, holding it down and holding the pot and giving it a good little shake. This just helps to agitate the rest of that dirt and sand out of them. Remove the clams once they're cooked with a slotted spoon, and then what you want to do is actually save that water and pass that through a fine mesh sieve, conical strainer, or even a coffee filter if that's all you have. This will be going back into the soup later, so reserve that. Go ahead and set the clams aside for now as well. We'll be taking the meat out of the shells later. We're just going to be letting this cook in the butter in the Dutch oven here till sweated through, so just till stuff kind of starts to turn translucent. Make sure to season a little during this step. We want to be building layers through the entire process here. Once things are sweated, we will add in the wine and cook that down just till it's cooked off, stirring consistently here. Once that's done, we're going to be adding the 1/3 cup of flour, and we're going to cook it and stir it the entire time. We kind of want to cook the flour. You'll start to smell it once it starts cooking. This will take about 3 minutes. Once it is cooked, we're going to add about half of that clam broth back in. If you didn't buy clam broth at the store, you can just use water for this step, but the clam broth is just going to have more flavor. We're going to slowly stir this in and incorporate the liquid with the cooked flour. We want to do this slowly because there's a chance you could make flour like dumplings or leave chunks of flour in our chowder, and that wouldn't really be pleasing or appetizing. We're going to be stirring this until it is completely smooth. This process is kind of similar to tempering egg yolks with hot milk or cream. You simply just want to do this slowly. We will season and finish adding the remaining clam broth, mixing to incorporate here. Again, we just want to be seasoning a little bit throughout the entire process to build those layers of flavor. Finally, we will add in the potatoes and bring this up to a simmer. And we're just going to be cooking this until the potatoes are cooked through and the chowder has thickened. This should take you around 20, maybe 25 minutes. Meanwhile, we're going to be cleaning those clams up. If you bought the frozen ones, you kind of want to clean these up as well. Make sure there's no weird shells in there or anything like that. If you're cleaning them from the shell, you just kind of scoop them out. I'm just using the frozen ones, and I made the decision of tossing them in without checking because, you got to risk it for the biscuit every now and again. Since I'm using frozen clams that are already cooked, I'm just going to be tossing them in with the tarragon. So we're going to wait for the milk and cream to come up to a simmer. And then we'll add in our clams, tarragon, and peas and let everything cook until it comes up to temperature, about 4 minutes or so. And now we're going to be doing a final taste tests and add in any additional clam juice if we decide we want more of a clammy flavor. Soups, I feel like always need a little bit more salt and pepper than we think. I'm going to go and find a bowl and start ladling up this soup. And enjoy. I did save a little fennel leaf as a garnish here, and also I have some smoked paprika. So I'm going to throw that on my chowder. I love smoked paprika on chowders. I'm going to add that in. It also looks really pretty, just that bright red gives it a nice pop. After a few more tastes, I did decide the dish still felt a little flat, so what I ended up doing was squeezing in some fresh lemon juice just to kind of brighten up the dish. The recipe book did also call for pea tendrils. I have no idea where I'd find those unless I was maybe at a farm or growing my own peas, so I'm not going to be using that. And that's okay. You can make any substitutions when you're cooking. you know, just be aware sometimes it might not be as good. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you made the chowder, enjoy. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments, and if there's any variations you used and liked, I would love to hear those as well. I'm always looking for new information and new things to try. Does anyone else wonder if frogs eat clams? I know Sebastian does. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching.